Hello, what's up guys? I'm Kyle from KGR, and this is a huge movie spoiler. So this is a Sonic Movie 3 Light Up 2-pack of Super Sonic and Super Shadow, and the community seems pretty upset with the fact that they're releasing this product as early as they are, which I kind of agree with them, because why spoil that Super Shadow is in the movie? To be fair, I'd be disappointed if he wasn't in the movie. However, it would have been nice to have that first screen reveal before we see it as a toy. But I also understand why Jakks Pacific did it as early as they did, because these toys are selling extremely well. But McDonald's spoiled it with Sonic 2 and also Sonic 3. So they're not the first to do it, but like, it's still not a good look to spoil the movie as early as they are. I feel like this product should have waited a few months, getting closer to the Blu-ray release before they release something like this, like they did with Sonic Movie 2 figures, where Wave 2 with Super Sonic in Wave 2 was a later figure after the movie's been out for a while. So am I disappointed? A little bit. But I still bought the thing anyway, because I want to make a video on it, so we're going to open this up. But before we open it up, we're going to take a look at the box real quick. So, even though we see Super Sonic and Super Shadow in here, with holes inside so you can do the try me, press their buttons, but we didn't pull the tabs, so they're not going to light up yet. The packaging itself doesn't show off Super Sonic or Super Shadow, so we don't see what they look like in the movie, which, at least there's that, I guess? But with Shadow on the side, the 4 characters on the front with the movie logo, and then him peeking out on the side right here. This is very familiar packaging that we've already seen on other Sonic products already for this movie. So if you've already seen the other stuff in the past, you already know what to expect with this. Saying how it's a light up 2-pack, and then the back is going to show off Super Sonic and Super Shadow and their light up gimmicks. And then the bottom shows off Wave 1 of the figures, which is understandable why they chose Wave 1 over Wave 2, because this is going to be a lot more common as of right now. As well as, imagine trying to advertise there's another Super Sonic figure you can get with a little bit more articulation. So why would you pick this up instead? So I see why they went with Wave 1. So without further ado, let's open this up and compare it to some of the other figures we have in the collection so far. So by the time this goes up, I'm going to have already seen this movie. But it's Monday as of recording this, so I haven't seen the movie yet, but I already plan on seeing the movie twice this weekend, because I plan on seeing it with my niece on Sunday, as well as us seeing an early showing on Thursday. I'm very excited for this movie, needless to say. In fact, I'm so excited for this movie that I actually have posters of all 3 movies hung up between the dining room as well as the living room in my house. So yeah, I'm a little bit excited for it. So now that we got the tape off, we should be able to safely remove this. There we go. And the pull me tab is so long, it's so funny. I don't know about you, I find that hilarious. So we're going to pull this aside real quick, and it's going to pull that tab as well. Oh yeah, it's trying to pull this tab through this. So we're going to just pull that, like that, okay. And then we can also still struggle to take this out of the box. There we go. I think this is tucked into Shadow. And then there's instructions in here. I think it's mainly to try to figure out how to change the batteries in the figures, but it should just be a screw in the back and it should be fine. And there's also reset holes on the side of the figures, which we'll look into that later. But they are like kind of tied down a little bit by their hands, and I think it's only their hands. So we're gonna carefully but dangerously kind of cut those open real quick, and then we should be good. Without spoiling the movie, if you've already seen the movie, let me know in the comments, what do you think of it? I am very excited to see who gets revealed at the end of the post-credits. I'm just so excited for the movie nonetheless. Alright, so now that we got those open, we should be able to open it up, and we already got the gimmick going on. Excellent. And then we got Shadow right here. There we go. Nice. So we're just going to throw the box over here for now. And here's a closer look at Super Sonic and Super Shadow. We'll take a look at Super Sonic first. Like, he looks so excellent. Like, I love the way they transferred him as an action figure from the big screen. I've already gotten a look at the Wave 2 Super Sonic, and this looks pretty similar to that, but now he just lights up and has a little bit less articulation. But honestly, this is still like a very solid figure to begin with. I do love the light up effect because it just adds so much flair to the figure. Like, personally, I love having the extra articulation from the Wave 2 version of the figure, which we will be comparing that here soon. But honestly, like, I'm not a huge fan of gimmicks all that much, but I feel like with something like this, for like him just being powered up as a whole, I feel like having the power up gimmick is an excellent idea. Now, the main thing he's lacking when it comes to articulation is the neck not being on a ball peg, so you can't move his head too freely. It's just left and right for the most part, mainly because you have all the wiring going from the chest to his head because of the lighting. And then there's no butterfly joint, so you can't move his shoulders forward and back. And then there's also no ab crunch. Now, even though this is lacking in comparison to the Wave 2 figure, like, this already looks so good as it is. Like, you can still, like, perfectly play with this, no problem. I think if I'm gonna be playing with any of the two figures, I should be questioning that because I'm 31 years old, but that's besides the point. But if I am gonna be playing with any of them, personally, I'd rather go with the one with a little bit more articulation because you have a lot more range to play with to make them look a lot more dynamic. However, if people are like doing their little, I don't want to say stop motions, but they're like, their TikToks or like any videos involving action figures that are not technically stop motion, having these as an asset is actually a pretty good prop because of the fact that they light up. Like, it shows how much power they have. It looks so good. Honestly, if I didn't have the Wave 2 Supersonic, I'd almost be happy with this. But I am a little bit greedy. I want it all. So thankfully I do have Wave 2 version of the figure. So let's compare the two. So here is how I have Wave 2 version of the figure posed on my shelf. And honestly, like, this gap right here, like that's literally the amount of room I have on my shelf. As I put him on the shelf, his head scrapes it because I don't have much room to do on my bookcases anymore. It's getting pretty filled, but that's besides the point. But anyway, with this, like, you can see, like, he has a lot more head movement to play around with. You got these butterfly joints to add more oomph to his power stance, and then the ab crunch, it's mainly for like turning. Moving it forward and back doesn't really do a whole lot, but it's mainly like just for turning effects. That's mostly about it. So when it comes to making a Supersonic figure a lot more dynamic, the Wave 2 version of the figure, this is definitely the figure to go with. But this is still a very good complementary piece when it comes to doing your animations, so you can have them light up. Or this is also going to be great for kids who just want to have a light up figure. Unless they're very, very particular and they want a very articulated Supersonic figure, then I would say go for the Wave 2 one, but as of right now, Super Shadow is exclusive to this 2 set, but there is a leak out there saying that Wave 3 is happening and Super Shadow is going to be in that as well, so we'll see where things go. The facial expressions when it comes to the eyes look mostly the same, but the glass eye looks a little bit better on this because you can see a bit of the seam on, like, around his eyebrow or so, and the iris gets a little bit cut off, but only at the very end, while with this, it's a lot more visible. You can see the whole iris for the most part. The glass look doesn't obstruct the look too much, so honestly this is a really good looking figure. So for aesthetics, this might be the better looking version, but I want to pose it more, so I'm probably gonna like have this one be on the shelf. But these aren't the only Supersonic figures I have to compare it to. I do also have the Wave 2 version of the figure, and man, the quality control difference between the two is insane. First up, he has green eyes, so this is a very early print, and like the thing just bleeds onto his muzzle. This one just has an overall much better, like, polish to it, I guess. This is just an overall better looking figure. They nailed the Wave 3 figures so well. I love these so much. Not Wave 3, the movie 3 figures. They nailed the movie 3 figures perfectly. I love these things. But my biggest thing I hated about this figure, the Wave 2 one, or movie 2 one I should say, is the fact that he had a hard time standing up by himself. But thankfully, from my personal experience of messing with the Wave 2 one already, this one stands up so easily, mainly because you can move his ankles as freely as you need to. His feet are just bigger as well, so he has a better time like keeping himself like standing up. So thank you. Thank you, Jax, for fixing this problem. But the only other, like, at least modern Supersonic figure I can compare it to is this one from Jazzwares. And I don't know about you, but that's a bit of a difference. So we're not going to compare it that much. But looking at all the holes on the Supersonic, it doesn't look as abrasive in comparison to the 4-pack version. Because, like, I'm not sure if it's the shade of blue or what it is when the, when the lights aren't going off by accident. But the amount of the LED strips here, it seems like a whole lot. But while with this, it looks like they mostly blend in a little bit better. Like, that's the best way I could describe it, at least. Which is honestly crazy that the Wave 2 figure doesn't have them at all, while the regular action figure just has them on them. I'm hoping that with the Wave 3 Sonic that they're planning on making, that it just doesn't have them at all. It would be nice to have a super polished Sonic. However, I love this thing. I love the way he looks so much. I love the way he looks at me from the shelf. Like, I love him. He's really good looking. But yeah, these two pair very well with each other. Like, even the facial expressions are exactly the same. Like, so for example, like this Wave 2 one, as well as these figures over here, they're gonna be for my personal collection. Those ones nobody can touch. However, my 4-year-old niece loves playing with Sonic toys now. She loves Sonic. So I'll let her play with the ones that light up, because these ones are gonna be more up her alley. But now let's take a look at Super Shadow. Okay, now that I cleared the desk, I'm gonna move Super Sonic to the back real quick, and then we'll look at him. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah! Alright, now to look at Super Shadow, and I love him. He already looks so sick. Now here's a closer look at him. As you can tell, he definitely goes for a lot lighter of a tone in comparison to Super Sonic. But because of the fact that he's not all blacked out, you can see a lot more of the details when it comes to his fur texture across his head. Like, I didn't know it was that prominent. Not that it's a bad thing, I actually really like the detail on it. But seeing it as Super Shadow instead, this looks incredible. Like, most of the other details, like when it comes to like the paint details in his boots, are mostly the same because they're just borrowed from the other figures. And just like the light up Super Shadow we got from the 4-pack, he will be missing like the same thing as Super Sonic, like not the ball head, but the ball hinge, no butterfly joint, just movement, and then no torso cut. Now, even though with these figures, like with the regular light up Shadow from the 4-pack, we have the quills as well as his eyes lighting up as red, and it looks beautiful. However, with the Super Shadow, it lights up the head a lot because it has to illuminate these yellow little bulbs as well as his eyes still reflecting as red. So same thing with Super Sonic, how like it really glows the head a lot, while with Shadows it looks a lot more subtle in comparison because the black just absorbs so much of it, and it does a good job of making that effect look better. But honestly, with his head lighting up as much as it does, it just looks so good because again, he's looking like he's just charging up and powering up. So this is honestly a good look. I love this. And it has me even more excited for a proper Wave 3 version of the figure to have even better articulation. Judging from this figure by itself, this is already a beautiful looking piece. I love this. I cannot wait for the actual version of the figure. And I can't wait to see how he turns out in the actual movie as well. Like, this looks so good. For some reason, the head on mine seems to be pretty loose. It's like turning pretty quickly. I hope nothing gets cut and like nothing doesn't break on my figure, so fingers crossed. But yeah, I love this shade of yellow they went with. The only Super Shadow I can compare it to is my Jazzwares one, and they don't go for the exact same tone, I guess, but like I love this. This looks so good. Which, speaking of, I hope they do the same thing for Super Shadow. I hope somebody makes a custom Super Shadow figure, because all it is a repaint. That's all it needs, and it's easy to take apart to do that. So somebody on the internet, get on that. And I also still love the fact that with the glowing figures, the iris slit that they end up doing on the regular Wave figures, that's not present here. So the eyes look so much better on these figures. Well, if I pull out of Wave 1 Shadow, if I pull his head up, you can see how the iris is cut, and I don't like that. They're much more centered. And I think that's probably why I love this figure as much as I do. I love how this figure looks because he's not having his irises set more to the side in comparison to these two. Like, he looks a lot more focused. But honestly, having him look straight on the way he is in this figure, it looks so good. Like, I knew there was something about him outside of the color that made me love this figure as much as I do. And I finally figured it out. But if the comparison between the regular Wave 2 Super Sonic and this 2-pack Supersonic are something to say about these figures. I'm really hoping that the Wave 3 version has the same eye look to this. Like, nothing's being cut off, he's looking straight forward. Like, it makes it look like he's looking at his enemy head on and looks so serious. I love this. Which is honestly a big complaint that I kind of have when it comes to the Supersonic figures. Like, I don't like the fact that Supersonic is smiling. I love the serious, like, tone of, like, regular Shadow. Or, I guess, like, just a frown in general. When you're in a super state, you're serious. You're ready to, like, kick some booty. But other than that, this thing looks pretty sick. Honestly, I was gonna say, wait until the Wave 3 Super Shadow comes out if you're, like, more of a serious collector and you don't really care about the gimmicks. But I don't know, this Super Shadow looks so impressive. I love this. Even with him lacking the articulation, he already looks like a really good, solid figure. I love this. So if you want to grab this yourself, I will have a link to Target down below on where you can buy this guy. And if I find this anywhere else for some reason, I'll provide even more links. But Target is where I got mine. But man, look at this. This looks so good. Oh, I love this. But thank you for watching. If you're new and you like what you saw, you know what to do. In the description, there's going to be other social media that you can follow me on. Like, sometimes I do toy photography. I just did a photo shoot of an Nendoroid Shadow if you want to check that out on Instagram. But, man, I'm so excited to see what Wave 3 has in store. Because I know we're getting a new version of Sonic, who may come with an Emerald, from what leaks said. We're getting a Super Shadow. We're getting a Gerald figure, which we don't know if it's going to be, like, his regular lab coat or if it's going to be the new, like, final suits. We don't know. But what I do know is, I'm buying those figures, I'm going to be doing unboxings of those, and we are going to have some fun. But anyway, thank you for watching. I love you guys to death. And I guess I'll see you on the next one. So peace, peace.